Many historical narratives treat the expansion of the Delhi Sultanate as an inevitable overwriting of the Indian map. But the borders of this period were determined as much by the kingdoms that fought back as by the armies that invaded. Prior to the 13th century, the subcontinent was home to a patchwork of localized kingdoms. These states were defined by immense agricultural wealth, active trade networks, and decentralized power concentrated in regional capitals and temple centers. This regional balance shifted in 1192 with the defeat of King Prithviraj Chauhan. His loss removed the primary defensive barrier in the northwest, allowing Turkic and Afghan forces from beyond the Hindu Kush Mountains to enter the northern plains in force. The establishment of the Delhi Sultanate introduced a centralized seat of government in the north. By building a permanent capital in Delhi, these successive dynasties signaled a shift from seasonal raiding to long-term territorial occupation. This map shows the speed of that expansion. Operating as a specialized military machine, the Sultanate rapidly consumed the northern territories, pushing its borders outward from Delhi until it dominated most of the landmass. This centralized, military-focused system forced every neighboring kingdom into a struggle for survival. Its arrival changed the geopolitical stakes of the subcontinent, turning every border into a front line. The Sultanate reached its military peak under Alauddin Khilji, driven by a desire for continental dominance. His silver tanka coins carried the Persian title Sikandar Sani, the second Alexander, referencing his intent to match Alexander the Great. Funding this expansion required a brutal economic engine. The Sultanate relied on continuous plunder, the enslavement of thousands of conquered people, and the systematic extraction of wealth from the cities it sacked. Iconoclasm played a dual role in this economy. These pillars in the Quad-ul-Islam Mosque were built using stones disassembled from 27 Hindu and Jain temples, allowing the Sultanate to recycle local materials into monuments of their own power. By 1335, Tughlaq Sultanate reached its geographic limit, controlling nearly the entire subcontinent. Yet this empire was structurally unstable. He moved his capital 1,000 kilometers south to Dalatabad. The forced migration caused massive loss of life and was eventually abandoned. Economic mismanagement further weakened the state. Tughlaq's introduction of copper token currency, intended to match the value of silver, led to widespread counterfeiting and a collapse in trade that crippled the Sultanate's economy. The Sultanate was a machine built for expansion that failed to build a sustainable foundation for peace. Its reliance on extraction and violence ensured that as soon as the center weakened, the empire would begin to fracture. As the Sultanate pushed south and east, it encountered regional powers that had spent decades fortifying their defenses. In the east, the eastern Ganga kingdom of Kalinga successfully repelled multiple invasions. King Narasimhadeva I built the Sun Temple at Konark as a monument to his military strength and the cultural resilience of his kingdom. In Rajasthan, the Mewar kingdom dug in. Rana Kumbha constructed the Kumbhalgarh fort, surrounding it with a 36-kilometer wall, one of the longest continuous fortifications in the world, to protect against Sultanate raids. In the year 1398, the Central Asian conqueror Timur breached the northwest and launched a devastating assault on Delhi. His forces burned the city and seized its wealth, destroying the Sultanate's reputation for invincibility and leaving a power vacuum in his wake. The pressure of the Sultanate's expansion did not result in total conquest. Instead, it forced regional powers to consolidate their military forces and harden their defenses, creating a map defined by a state of constant, high-stakes resistance. By the late 15th century, the Sultanate's territory had shrunk significantly. This map shows the Lodi dynasty confined to a fraction of the land once held by the Tughlaqs. This contraction created a vacuum in the south. Independent sultanates and older kingdoms fragmented under the weight of internal conflict and the remnants of previous sultanate campaigns. Out of this instability, two brothers named Harihara and Bukka rejected Delhi's authority. They founded an independent kingdom that would eventually unify the southern peninsula. Their Vijayanagara Empire became a major regional force. It established a stable administration that preserved southern trade and architectural traditions, as seen in the massive Virupaksha temple at Hampi. The medieval period in India was less a time of static occupation and more of violent crucible. The constant threat of expansion forced localized states to innovate and consolidate their power to survive. These historical borders reflect the limits of the Sultanate's power. The map of this era was defined by the lines where the drive for empire met the organized physical resistance of the people determined to hold their ground.